Libra, pause for a second and stay with me here. This message did not find you by accident, and it was never meant for people casually passing through. It was meant for someone standing at the edge of a real shift, someone the universe has been quietly guiding toward this exact moment. And today, that person is you. 5 pieces of good news are moving toward your life, and May 16 and 17, 2026 won't arrive softly, because those days carry the kind of energy that changes the direction of your path all at once. Something begins rebalancing around you during these 2 days. Doors that stayed closed too long start easing open. Tension begins leaving your body, and people suddenly respond to your energy differently because your presence no longer feels invisible. You may notice it in subtle ways first, in the way conversations change, in the way attention turns toward you, or in the strange calm building underneath your emotions, like your life is finally moving into alignment again. It feels almost electric, not chaotic, but powerful in a way that keeps pulling your focus back to this moment. At the same time, part of you can feel resistance rising beneath the surface. There is still an energy around you that does not want this breakthrough to fully reach you. And that pressure is exactly why you know the shift is close. When life begins correcting itself, distractions appear. When balance starts returning, hidden tension reveals itself, and right before a major opening arrives, uncertainty always tries to speak the loudest. But Libra, you were not brought this far just to lose your place now. May 16 and 17 are more than dates on a calendar because they act like a bridge between the version of you that kept waiting and the version finally stepping into visibility. This is the point where your timeline begins moving differently, where opportunities start finding you, where people who underestimated you grow quiet, and where something meaningful finally begins turning in your favor. And the truth is, part of you already feels it happening. You can sense it in your chest, in your thoughts, in the strange emotional weight that has been sitting with you since yesterday. That feeling was never fear. It was your energy preparing for movement, your life slowly coming back into balance after carrying too much for too long. The momentum starts building quickly now, and once it begins, it moves with a force that becomes difficult to ignore. Libra, if you can already feel this shift approaching May 16th and 17, comment, "I'm ready for what finally aligns with me." Your words matter here because speaking the moment out loud becomes part of claiming it. And once you acknowledge the shift, the energy around you begins responding differently. Libra, let's step into the first piece of good news, because this shift changes more than you realize. For a long time, maybe longer than anyone around you truly understood, it felt like your life kept pressing against invisible resistance. You kept showing up, applying, hoping, trusting the process, only to watch opportunities stall right when they seemed close enough to reach. Every delayed response, every closed door, every sudden setback slowly taught you what exhaustion feels like when you keep carrying hope anyway. But May 16 and 17, 2026 begin breaking that pattern apart. The path that stayed blocked for too long finally starts opening, and the opportunity that kept slipping away suddenly moves toward you instead of away from you. This is not a small adjustment or a quiet improvement. It feels more like life unlocking all at once, like something behind the scenes finally shifts into your favor after months of standing still. You'll recognize it quickly when it arrives. A message finally comes through, a job responds, an approval lands, or someone who stayed distant suddenly reconnects without warning. The energy around you begins moving differently, and it becomes clear that the waiting season is ending. What felt frozen starts gaining momentum again, and the things that once seemed impossible begin unfolding with surprising ease. What makes this moment powerful is the speed of it. The change does not arrive slowly or cautiously, because once the movement starts, it comes with the feeling that life is catching up for all the time you lost. Doors begin opening so quickly that even you may struggle to process how fast everything changes. And Libra, After everything you carried in silence, after every disappointment you handled with grace, you deserve to experience life moving forward again instead of constantly holding still. But pay attention, because your shift will not go unnoticed. Someone around you feels the difference almost immediately, and instead of celebrating it fully, their energy becomes uncomfortable. You may notice distance where there used to be warmth, strange comments hidden inside compliments, colder responses, or subtle tension that was never there before, because your progress quietly exposes their insecurity. Do not let that distract you from what is finally aligning in your favor. People may sense your rise, but they do not have the power to block what is already beginning to move toward you. Your momentum has already started, your opportunities are already opening, and the balance of your life is finally correcting itself. Libra, what have you been hoping for most this week? Write it in the comments, because putting your desire into words becomes part of claiming the next chapter unfolding in front of you. Libra, let's move into the second piece of good news, because this one reaches the area of your life that has been carrying the most pressure lately. Your financial energy is finally beginning to move forward again, and this is not the kind of change that arrives slowly or barely makes a difference. What's approaching feels larger than a temporary boost, because it shifts the entire direction of how money, opportunity, and stability have been flowing around you. For months, you have been trying to stay responsible while quietly carrying stress that most people never noticed. You kept telling yourself to stay patient, to trust the timing, to keep going even when progress felt painfully slow. Deep down, though, you were waiting for the moment life finally opened instead of constantly testing you. Around May 16 and 17, 2026, that pressure begins changing direction. Opportunities stop slipping through your hands, and the energy around finances starts moving toward you instead of away from you. There are several signs that show this shift has already started. The first may arrive as unexpected money, something that appears suddenly and immediately changes your mindset because it feels like confirmation that movement is finally happening. The second sign comes through an opportunity that seems to appear out of nowhere, whether it is a message, an offer, a collaboration, a new client, or a conversation that quickly turns into something valuable. When it arrives, it feels clear, direct, and impossible to ignore. The third sign appears through another person. Someone begins speaking with you about work, business, career, or finances in a way that feels meaningful rather than random, almost like the right conversation finally arrives at the right time. And then comes the fourth sign, the one that matters most, because you suddenly feel an inner pull pushing you toward action. A quiet voice inside you says, yes, before fear has time to interrupt it. And that moment becomes the exact point where your financial timeline begins changing. Libra, one of the biggest lessons here is understanding that abundance does not always come from forcing yourself harder. Sometimes life changes when your energy finally aligns with what you are ready to receive. May 16 and 17 carry that turning point for you, and the opportunities around you begin matching the value you have been slowly learning to recognize in yourself. This is the beginning of momentum returning to your financial story after carrying uncertainty for too long. But there is still one decision only you can make. In order to fully step into this new chapter, you will need to say yes to something you normally hesitate on, whether that means trusting yourself, accepting visibility, taking a risk, or walking through a door you once doubted you deserved. Fear will still try to speak, doubt will still try to slow you down, but the opportunity can only open the door for you, Libra. You are the one who has to walk through it. Libra, type "money flows toward me now" in the comments to lock into this new energy. Speaking it out loud becomes part of the shift, because the moment you stop resisting the possibility of receiving more, your timeline begins responding differently. Libra, It's time for the third piece of good news, and this one reaches into your life in a deeply personal way. Around May 16th and 17th, 2026, someone with real influence begins thinking about you again, and this is far more than a passing memory drifting through their mind. Their attention feels intentional, focused, and emotionally charged, because this is someone whose presence carries weight in your story. Whether through status, respect, emotional history, or opportunity, this person has the power to shift the direction of your path simply by turning their attention back toward you. This could be someone who once recognized your potential before anyone else did. It may be a mentor, a former connection, a powerful friend, a past love, or someone whose support once opened doors for you in ways you never forgot. During these days, something about your energy pulls them back into awareness, and you feel it almost immediately. There is a strange pull in your chest, a sudden urge to check your phone, or a feeling that someone important has quietly stepped back into your orbit. For some Libras, this moment stays emotional and unspoken for only a short time before it turns into action. A message appears, a profile view catches your attention, a call comes through, or someone suddenly asks about you after a long silence. The moment this person reconnects, your confidence begins shifting with it, because their return reminds you of something important about your own value and presence. Suddenly, your direction feels clearer, your energy feels lighter, and the momentum in your life starts building again. What makes this powerful is that this person carries access to something meaningful. It may not be happiness itself, but it connects you to an opportunity, a conversation, a social circle, or a level you have quietly hoped to reach for a long time. The signs appear naturally through a text, an unexpected compliment, hearing your name mentioned in a room you are not standing in, or someone saying they could not stop thinking about you recently. None of it feels accidental, because the timing lines up too perfectly to ignore. And here is the deeper truth behind this shift, Libra. This person is not returning because you chased their attention or forced your way back into their awareness. They are noticing you again because your energy changed first. Your growth, your healing, your quiet rebuilding, and the way you stopped begging for recognition all created a kind of magnetic presence that naturally draws people toward you now. This is not about luck or nostalgia. It is about becoming visible again after learning your own worth. Your alignment changed the connection, and your new timeline made people see you differently without you having to fight for their attention. Libra, who do you think this person might be? Comment the first letter of their name, because acknowledging the connection strengthens the energy already beginning to move between you. Libra, the fourth piece of good news touches something deeper than opportunity or recognition, because it changes the way you understand everything happening around you. Around May 16 and 17, 2026, your intuition becomes sharper in a way that feels impossible to ignore. Small feelings begin carrying weight, subtle reactions suddenly make sense, and the inner voice you once questioned starts becoming clearer than outside noise. It feels like your awareness is adjusting itself, allowing you to notice what was always there, but hidden beneath distraction and uncertainty. You begin reading situations differently. The energy in conversations shifts, people's intentions become easier to recognize, and truths reveal themselves even when no one speaks them directly out loud. You may walk into a room and instantly sense tension, distance, honesty, or hidden motives without needing proof, because your perception is becoming more refined. This is not about fantasy or illusion. It is about finally trusting the signals your instincts have been trying to show you for a long time. There may also be moments that feel strangely timed or impossible to dismiss. A dream stays in your mind longer than usual, a thought repeats itself, or a feeling about someone keeps returning until you finally pay attention to it. You could suddenly sense a decision approaching before it fully arrives, or recognize an opportunity that once blended into the background unnoticed. The more aligned your energy becomes, the more obvious these patterns start feeling. But this heightened awareness also asks something from you, Libra. You will need to slow down enough to notice the signs appearing quietly around your life. Pay attention to the feelings that kept returning earlier this week, the conversations that lingered in your mind, or the dream that seemed too vivid to forget, because there is meaning hidden inside those moments. Ignoring them may cause you to miss an important shift unfolding right in front of you. Trust yourself more carefully during this period. Move toward the choices that feel calm and aligned, and give yourself space before reacting to situations that feel heavy or emotionally unclear. Your instincts are no longer reacting from fear alone, because your understanding of people, timing, and energy has started evolving into something far more precise. The patterns around you are beginning to connect in ways that finally make sense. Libra, type in the comments the dream, feeling, or message that stayed with you from last night. Even if it seemed random or difficult to explain, speaking it out loud strengthens your awareness and signals that you are finally paying attention to what your intuition has been trying to reveal. And here is the part that changes everything, Libra. The feeling that keeps returning to you is not just another passing thought or random emotional moment. It acts more like a doorway, quietly pointing you toward a decision, an opportunity, or a truth you are finally ready to recognize. Pay attention to it, write it down, and do not ignore what keeps trying to reach your awareness, because May 16th and 17, 2026 mark the beginning of a deeper awakening in the way you see yourself and your life. Your instincts become sharper during this period, not to create fear, but to help you move through life with more clarity than before. What once confused you starts making sense, and the emotional signals you used to question begin guiding you toward better choices, healthier connections, and stronger boundaries. Once this shift settles into you, it becomes difficult to return to the version of yourself that overlooked your own intuition for the comfort of others. Libra, the fifth piece of good news, reaches the deepest part of this entire message because it touches the areas of your life that have quietly carried pain for far too long. Something unfair begins correcting itself. The emotional weight you carried, the disappointment that slowed your confidence, the hurt that made you question your value, all of it starts shifting in a different direction. This is the moment where balance begins returning to places in your life that once felt emotionally uneven. For some of you, someone who caused real pain may suddenly reappear with words you never expected to hear. Their response does not happen because you chased closure or demanded recognition, but because your energy changed enough that they can finally feel the distance between who you were and who you have become. They recognize your strength now in a way they could not before, and that realization changes how they approach you. For others, the return shows up differently. An opportunity comes back, recognition arrives where silence once existed, financial relief appears, or a connection you thought was gone forever finds its way back into your life in a stronger form. What returns to you now carries more value than before because it arrives with wisdom, clarity, and a deeper understanding of what you truly deserve. And this is why the timing matters so much. Around May 16th and 17, the energy around your life begins moving quickly, and the changes feel impossible to dismiss once they begin unfolding. This is not a slow, emotional repair happening quietly in the background. It feels visible, undeniable, and powerful, because life is finally responding to the growth you carried through every difficult season without giving up on yourself. Libra, do not doubt what is returning to you now. The opportunities, recognition, healing, and balance moving toward you belong in this next chapter of your life because you stayed standing through experiences that could have made you lose faith in yourself completely. What once felt lost begins returning in ways that feel larger, more aligned, and more meaningful than before. Libra, if something was taken from you emotionally, financially, or personally, type "I take it back" in the comments. Speaking those words becomes part of reclaiming the space, confidence, and energy that should have belonged to you all along. The moment you stop seeing yourself through old pain, your life begins responding differently. This shift is about more than good news alone. It is healing, restoration, emotional maturity, and the return of balance after a long period of carrying too much without recognition. May 16 and 17 are not ordinary days for you because they act like the turning point where your past no longer controls the direction of your future. And now, Libra, here is the deeper truth behind everything you have felt throughout this message. These changes are not happening randomly. They are happening because your life has reached the point where your energy, your growth, and your readiness finally align at the same time. 5 breakthroughs, 5 shifts, and 5 confirmations do not arrive together by accident. You were meant to reach this version of yourself. You were meant to rise beyond the cycles that once held you back, and you were meant to stop settling for spaces that never fully valued your presence. Walk into May 16 and 17 like someone who understands their worth now, someone who no longer chases what is already aligned for them, and someone finally ready to receive the life that has been slowly moving toward them all along. Libra, comment these words 10 times. I am ready for what aligns with me. Each repetition strengthens the mindset, confidence, and energy, guiding you into this next version of yourself, one that feels stronger, wiser, more balanced, and finally moving forward. And here is the part most people never expect, Libra. The feeling that keeps returning to you is not just a passing thought or a random emotional echo. It acts like a doorway, opening quietly inside your awareness, pointing you toward a choice, an opportunity, or a truth that deserves your full attention. Around May 16th and 17th, 2026, something inside you begins waking up more clearly, and the more you listen to it, the harder it becomes to ignore what your instincts have been trying to show you all along. Write down the thoughts that keep repeating. Pay attention to the moments that feel strangely meaningful, and trust the emotional signals that continue pulling at your attention, because this period marks a turning point in the way you understand yourself and the people around you. Your intuition becomes less about guessing and more about clarity. It starts guiding your decisions, protecting your peace, and helping you recognize what truly belongs in your life moving forward. Libra, the 5th piece of good news reaches deeper than anything else we have touched on so far, because it connects directly to the part of you that has felt overlooked, emotionally drained, or quietly wounded. Something unfair begins correcting itself during this time. The weight you carried for too long, the disappointment that slowed your confidence, and the experiences that made you question your worth all begin shifting in a different direction. Life starts balancing itself again in ways that feel impossible to ignore. For some of you, this correction arrives through another person. Someone who hurt you may suddenly return with an apology or an unexpected change in energy, not necessarily because guilt consumed them, but because your growth changed the way they see you now. They recognize a strength and self-respect in you that was not fully visible before, and your energy no longer invites the same treatment it once tolerated. For others, the return appears through opportunity, recognition, financial relief, or a connection that unexpectedly comes back into your life stronger than before. What was lost does not simply return in its old form, because it comes back carrying lessons, wisdom, and a clearer alignment with who you are becoming now. The timing around May 16th and 17th feels powerful, because once this movement begins, it unfolds quickly and visibly, rather than slowly fading into the background. This is not random luck, Libra. It is the result of surviving seasons that could have broken your confidence completely, and still finding a way to move forward with grace. The balance returning to your life now carries the energy of everything you endured without giving up on yourself, and that is why the shift feels so emotionally significant. Do not question whether you deserve what is finally moving toward you. The opportunities, healing, recognition, and restoration unfolding now belong to this next chapter of your life, because your energy has changed enough to receive them differently. What once felt permanently lost begins returning in ways that feel fuller, stronger, and more aligned than before. Libra, if something was taken from you emotionally, financially, or personally, type "I take it back" in the comments. Speaking those words becomes part of reclaiming your confidence, your space, and the balance that should have belonged to you all along. The moment you stop defining yourself through old disappointments, your future begins responding differently. This shift is about more than temporary good news. It is healing, maturity, emotional restoration, and the return of fairness after carrying too much for too long without recognition. May 16 and 17 are not ordinary days in your timeline because they act like the moment your life finally starts reflecting the value you have been slowly learning to see in yourself. And now, Libra, here is the deeper truth underneath everything you have felt through this message. These breakthroughs are not appearing by accident. They arrive because your growth, your readiness, and your alignment finally reached the same point at the same time. 5 shifts, 5 confirmations, and 5 openings do not happen randomly. You were meant to grow beyond the cycles that once kept you emotionally small. You were meant to stop chasing spaces that never honored your presence fully. And you were meant to walk into this new chapter, understanding your worth with far more certainty than before. Step into May 16 and 17 with confidence, with clarity, and with the quiet strength of someone who finally knows life is beginning to move in their favor. Libra, comment these words 10 times. I am ready for what aligns with me. Every repetition strengthens the mindset and energy, carrying you into this next version of yourself, one that feels wiser, more balanced, more confident, and finally ready to rise.